Welcome in, Cowboys Nation, to Game Day Live halftime show. Dallas Cowboys lead the Jacksonville Jaguars in Duval County 21-7 in what has been a pretty good first half for the Cowboys. Maybe their most clean and solid and successful first half in weeks, and a lot to look forward to in the second half if they can carry this over and get a comfortable victory. But Dallas up 21-7, Jesse, and a lot to be excited about.
Yeah, the Cowboys came out and they set the tone. Their energy is good. Their enthusiasm is good. They're playing a clean, in-control football game right now. They got 91 yards rushing, 132 yards passing. So everything that they want to do, they're staying ahead of the chains. They own the time of possession and not turning the football over. Outside of that one possession that you and I were talking about where Doug Peterson got into his Louis Vuitton. But Kellen Moore answered the next possession and said, hey, I see your Louis Vuitton and I raise you a Chanel duffel. So Doug Peterson had shown that one series where he can kind of get into his duffel. But the Cowboys, Kellen Moore, Dan Quinn, Mike McCarthy, and his offense, his defense, they have been on pace today to doing exactly what you want them to do against the Jacksonville Jaguars football team.
I feel like I say this quote every other week. From now on, right there, that's how you're supposed to drive. From now on, that's how you drive. And I say that jokingly but seriously at the same time because we know we got the bag to do what we do, right? And I wrote down here, do what you do best, because we say that every single week, and they came out here and did that. You saw CeeDee Lamb in motion. You saw Noah Brown in motion, who's having a fantastic half. And I said this. I said, hey, I'm about to eat crow with Noah Brown this year. Noah Brown has raised his level of play, and I have no problem eating that crow as long as it's fried with a little bit of hot sauce on it. I'm cool with it. But if it's bland, then I don't want nothing to do with it. Speaking of bland, Deron is anything but in that first half. A couple good pass breakups on Christian Kirk, who's been blanketed on that side of the ball. But let's get back to that offensive side of the ball. Kellen Moore is once again in his bag. And all I ask is to bring that bag every week. Do this, getting Dak Prescott on the move, having your offensive lineman pull, getting some play action, get back under center. Now, aside from that last play call there, we didn't like that one. And the reason why I didn't like it, beyond the fact that you're pitching the ball back 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage when you only need one, is that Dak Prescott is 15 for 16 for 137 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he was completing 13 passes in a row. Why not just spread him out, 3rd and 1, let him read the line? Okay, you guys are going to play tight, we'll throw it. If you guys are going to give us a light box, we'll run it. I think he's so in control. He's been in control for the most part of the season, but he's so in control right now. Put the ball in his hands to make that decision. Outside of that, man, it's been a fantastic first half offensively, and the line is doing a pretty damn good job on that right side, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, the right side is doing well. It's the left side where the 2 sacks have come from for the Cowboys. But to your point, you always question when you look at what the Cowboys have been doing, even if it's Tony Pollard, who people don't give Tony Pollard enough credit for his tough yards that he gets. Like his contact balance and his ability to break tackles and to get yards after contact. But in that instance, when I need 1 yard, I don't want to throw the ball back 7 yards. Like, keep everything going forward. Use that motion. Use a pulling guy, a tight end or the opposite guard, and run behind Zach Martin and Tyler Smith or Jason Peters on that right side for the 1 yard. Don't throw the ball back 7 yards to get 1 yard.
They always do that with him.
Like that's like what was the Paul Abdul song? Like 2 steps forwards and 3 steps back, or whatever it was. it just makes no sense. But again, we're nitpicking on that for the most part. I mean, not for the most part, but for the entire first half, the Cowboys have been in control, and we've seen the creativity on the touchdown to Ferguson. You saw the 2 deep posts to take the safeties and the wheel route from the tight end. And even with the linebacker, Josh Allen, staring the play down, he was there. Dak Prescott drops a dime into Ferg for a touchdown. Seeing the Noah Brown shovel pass underneath. Seeing the Noah Brown when they roll out and it looks like everyone is going here. Noah Brown blocks down. That's the old Travis Kelce play that they run up in Kansas City that you see a lot of times that he gets that one. So Kellen Moore has been doing a lot of different things in that second quarter. Now, the good thing is Dak has been historically bad in that second quarter this year.
I didn't even notice he didn't get a pick.
He didn't get a pick. So what we've seen all year long from this offense in the second half, they've gone into halftime and been able to make the adjustments. So I'm praying that we don't see the reverse.
Right.
I'm praying that because you had a good first half, that you still come into halftime and you make the necessary adjustments to get even better in the second half, that you do not go into the halftime and then come back out and all of a sudden you lose who you are. Like to your notes say, do what it is you do best.
Yeah.
Get back to running the football. Get back to the play action pass. Get back. We've seen it. Dak Prescott running the football on certain downs.
I should have seen me in here.
Yeah, that was pretty good. And for them, like I said, all in all, the offense has been stellar. They have been steady. They have been raising their level of play, putting the onus back on Doug Peterson and their offense to be able to keep up with that pace.
They're doing everything that I requested this week. I said, hey, what happened to the orbit motion with TP? We seen the orbit motion. And even on the one play, we only got 1 yard. I think it was CeeDee Lamb coming on the motion. They handed off to TP. I said, hey, that's dribbling with a purpose, though, because we're getting TP going, doing TP things. I say this all the time. You don't need to get cute with TP. I don't need him to run not a jet sweep, but a double reverse, double dog there, annexation to Puerto Rico, fake pitch to that. And then we don't need to do that with TP. He's good enough to do normal running back things and to set that up. And what did we see that following possession? You saw nothing but pre-snap motion, post-snap action, and you got a lot of positive plays on it. So, I mean, everybody's having a pretty solid first half on the offensive side of the ball. When we switch it over to the defensive side of the ball, they are making Trevor Lawrence feel the heat. Yeah. And you see kind of that inaccuracy happen. We talked about it in the pregame show. If you're into grades, if you're into numbers, analytics, whatever, Trevor Lawrence this season, while he's had a really good stretch over the last 5 weeks, when you put the heat on Trevor, he's been one of the more poorer quarterbacks against the pressure. And he's 9 for 15, 84 yards, 1 touchdown, 5.6 yards per attempt, and that 5.6 yards is because the pass rush is making things a little bit uncomfortable for him. And if Dougie P is not doing what we do on our side, right, which is a misdirection, I have it here, attack the perimeter, misdirection, and conflict. Those are the 3 things the Cowboys have been struggling with all year. Doug Peterson on a touchdown drive said, let me go look at my notes real quick. Perimeter, misdirection, conflict, check. Let's go out here and do it. And they did it, and they went down to score. Yeah,
when Leighton Vander Esch went out with that neck injury, you saw now you have to play Barr and Damone Clark more. And so when he went into that Louis Vuitton duffel bag, and you saw the misdirection, you saw them having to pass off defenders for guys running crosses and things like that. They got what they wanted on that drive. And the last 2 drives for the Jaguars, you saw Doug Peterson kind of go away from that. No pre-snap motion, no conflict, no confusion. And if you're not good enough at this juncture of your early coaching career and playing career in Jacksonville to just line up and beat the Cowboys.
I say that all the time.
And so we'll be fine with you just lining up and thinking you're just going to be able to beat us because we have better athletes than you. We have a better setup than you. We have a better scheme than you. And I hope that he continues this because when he got into that misdirection, pre-snap stuff, that confused the Cowboys and left guys running wide open. Yeah. Good play by Deron Bland to end that second half because if Christian Kirk keeps a little bit more focus on that one, he hits his head on the goalpost for a touchdown. So defensively, they got to figure out how if the Jaguars get back to that misdirection, being able to have the proper communication. And when you lose a linebacker, now you're talking about a young Deron Bland. You're talking about an inexperienced Kelvin Joseph, an inexperienced kind of really Deron Bland. A lot of guys in there having to do a lot of stuff in those crossing patterns with passing stuff off can be confusing. Fix that, and you're doing everything else the way that you want to do it.
And you brought up LVE. I'm not sure what the prognosis is. If you want to check on that while we talk here. I said this during when it happened, and maybe 10 weeks ago you wouldn't say this, but I said, man, that could be a big loss. LVE is finding some momentum. Last week I thought was his best game against the run that I've seen maybe in 2 years. He was playing downhill, physical, instinctive. He was on it. At the start of this game, it felt like the defense was figuring things out and got it going and got the early turnover, and then they capitalized and scored off that, and then they gave up that one possession. But here's why I think it could be a situation. It's not necessarily in the run game, though. I've been praising LVE all year about his ability to see things in the pass game and be where he needs to be as a pass-covered linebacker, and Barr is not that guy this year, right? Like maybe not has been, but Barr is not that guy, and you saw him, right, get chopped up and chopped and screwed and get put in the blender, and he had a touchdown to Zay Jones that crossed his face. You hope that they don't go into the locker room and say, all right, mouse and house. Let's try to keep isolating him, because if we can't get things downfield, then we got to get things underneath, and that means we got to isolate somebody. They got Damone Clark a little bit on the Evan Ingram play. That's a tough play to make, though, coming from behind the line of scrimmage. But I think they're going to try to attack Clark and try to attack Barr to matriculate down the field because they're not getting a whole lot of time to sit back there and throw deep balls, which is a good thing for the Cowboys. But that's my kind of thing to keep an eye on here is if LVE is able to come back or not.
They're still reporting him as questionable for a return.
Neck injury.
With the neck injury, neck/concussion injury. If you know with Leighton Vander Esch, he's had neck issues in the past, and he's missed significant time with the neck issue. So for him, losing him, like you said, you never thought that you would say that, but losing him now puts you in kind of a bind, just especially on the mental side of it. That's key when Doug Peterson again gets to that misdirection type stuff to be able to have that communication and pass things along across that second level of the Cowboys defense.
And I'll add on to this part because I hate to look ahead, but I see the Eagles are in a tight battle with the Bears right now, 10-6. But I am looking to see if the Cowboys defense can find a counter to all of that misdirection. Again, I hate to look ahead because next week you're going to see that. So it would be nice to see them kind of be where they need to be against those things because I don't want to go into this next week having to worry that we still don't know how to defend it. So that's kind of what I'm looking for in the second half. What about you?
Yeah, I want the Cowboys to continue a clean game. I want to be able to see them play now with the lead and finish a football game. Don't get in here and all of a sudden the second half you begin the turnovers and the penalties and the ugly football. Yeah. You played a really clean half. You played a really good first half, especially offensively. Continue that output, and then defensively, continue to do what you do best. Get after the quarterback. Micah Parsons got his sack.
Got one.
You know what that means. He's never had just a one-sack game, right? So that you think that number 2 is on the way. Continue to be good in the back end, and I want to see those guys up front just really get after Trevor Lawrence whenever opportunity presents itself.
I don't mean to be so fast about this one, but, man, it's really nice to see Tyron Smith out there, and I think he's doing fantastic. Now, obviously, we have no tape, but just from I know he got beat the one time, but at least he made the guy round the hump. Right. And we talked about if you can make him round the hump, then your quarterback can see it on the right side. So here we go, Cowboys Nation kickoff. Make sure you join us back here on the post-game show, and hopefully it's continuing to be a good one.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll see y'all then. Peace.